Well, dude, week 2 of remote podcast recording, and we are trying something new that will hopefully improve our audio quality greatly.
Yeah, man.
Are
Well,
you ready for this?
I mean, it's week 2 of both of us being separated, but it's really week 1 of remote for me. So
Yes.
this is my first week at home.
Yes, it is. It is. How's that going so far?
You know,
Yeah.
actually, it's not bad. So I got 2 solid hours in this morning. First thing, had a conference call with my boss. Knocked out a couple of quick, hey, can you do this for me real quick type things. And then my wife had to jump on. She has to do every day from 9:30 to 10 live video chat with her kids. And so it kind of worked out well that as I was kind of wrapping up, getting ready to jump into something else, it was about 9:30, and so we switched. And I jumped on kid duty, and she went upstairs and locked herself in the room, and so it's just kind of been a little bit back and forth.
Yeah, it's definitely probably a lot more challenging for you with younger kids. I remember working remote when I worked at my other job with a young Lexi, and it was definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's been good. We've got the setup for it. We still have, we used to have a desktop, so instead of having a desk, we had an armoire. Mm-hmm. Because, at different points in your life, your place isn't as big as you would like it to be. And sometimes you need to be able to close doors on your computer setup.
Right.
So yeah, we still have that. It's upstairs in the spare bedroom, and so I pushed the bed up against the wall so I could actually sit in a chair instead of on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's working.
Cool. Yeah. I am actually starting to adapt to the working from home. Having a solid week. That first week was a little rough, but I'm actually starting to adapt to it, so hopefully the next couple of weeks, if I wind up having to work from home, it's not as challenging.
Yeah.
So, but what'd you do this weekend?
This weekend, so hashtag love your old tech is a little segment I like to bring up from time to time. So I meant to mention this on the podcast last week, but my watch band broke on my Garmin. Mm-hmm. And I used actual needle and thread to stitch it back together. I also ordered a new watch band, but because of hashtag coronavirus, everything's a little bit delayed. And so instead of, Prime 2-day shipping, it was Prime week shipping.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be a week before I could have it. And it was the notch that broke, of course, is the notch that I always wear it in. And so I stitched it together. It actually held for the whole week. But now I got a new watch band. So
nice.
Was
it easy to put on?
It was. So normal watches, like old school watches, are really, really difficult because they've got little pins and it's all kinds of craziness. But this, they sent me the 2 screwdrivers that I needed. And I just unscrewed the pin that holds it to the watch face and popped off the old one and popped on the new one. Good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Super easy peasy.
Very cool. What else went on this weekend?
Hashtag, everything's hashtag. Hashtag springtime with toddlers happened this weekend.
Yes. I bet you they're loving that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it was warm both days. It did rain a little bit. No, it didn't. It rained Friday night. But Saturday and Sunday were both sunny, a little bit windy, but we played with sidewalk chalk and we had bubbles going and we were swinging on the swing and sliding on the slide, and we had big kid moments where now they can go down the slide by themselves. I sent you a video of my son hanging from the gymnast rings. He did a solid 4.5 second hang, and he's not even 2 years old yet.
Nice. Ninja warrior, future runner there.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a great weekend. We didn't go anywhere, which, a couple of weeks ago would have been like, oh my gosh, we didn't go anywhere and I'm going crazy. But,
Right.
It helps if you can go outside.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
my mom swung by yesterday for a properly social distanced video. Not video, hangout. Visit. That was the word I was looking for. She stayed in her car the whole time, and she parked on the street, and she just watched the kids run around and play, and like every now and then they would come up and I'd hold them and we'd be 6 or 7 feet away from the car, but we'd talk to grandma and blow her kisses, and then we'd run back in the yard and play. So
nice.
she drove over and actually hung out in her car for almost an hour probably yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And, just said hi.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, at least you're able to somewhat take advantage of, not having anything to do. That's kind of how our weekend was. You can't really go do anything, and you're not supposed to. So you're kind of left with finding things to do, which is nice because you can get a lot of stuff done and you can really enjoy things instead of feeling rushed.
Exactly.
I worked on my mower all weekend, so I did the spring maintenance stuff, and that was a lot of fun. You know how much I love my mower, so
yeah. So what did that?
I enjoy it.
What did that consist of? What is spring maintenance for your mower?
Well, since I paid a extremely large amount of money for this mower, I am going extreme with the maintenance on it. Every year I'm doing all the maintenance. So changing spark plugs, changing oil filter, air filter, pre-filter for the air filter, the 2 fuel filters that I've got. I'm sharpening and changing the blades, making sure the deck is properly leveled. The tires have the right air pressure. So, the full gamut. I mean, some of this stuff I probably don't have to do but every other year. But you know what? I think I spent $65 in parts. And as much as I use that mower and as much as I have spent on it, I really want to make sure that just everything is top notch. It's worth the little bit of money and time that it takes for me to do that on that particular mower. Now, in my last house, I maybe would have put, 6 hours on a mower for the whole year.
Right.
So maintenance wasn't really as big of a deal. And plus, I had an electric mower. I didn't need to do the maintenance. It was sharpen my blades.
Right, yeah.
Which I do miss that, but since I've got a gas engine, I have to take a little bit extra care of it. So that was fun.
So a couple of things.
Yeah.
Under $100 for
a
nice big zero turn. Like, that's not that bad.
No, not at all.
And you said probably only really need to do it every other year, and I get that by hours. And so you're not running it as hard as a commercial user would. But you are leaving it sit idle all winter in the garage. So it makes sense to kind of do a big overhaul every spring, to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's easy enough. So why not, right?
Yeah, right. Easy enough.
The other thing that happened over the weekend is YouTube is kind of going crazy for me. So I mentioned this before. This last month, I have gained a lot of subscribers. At this point, for just the month of March, I'm like at 60-some subscribers.
That is nuts.
My views are like double or triple what they were back either January and February. My number of minutes watched they're just skyrocketing. So it's pretty stinking exciting to see all the stuff that's going on my YouTube channel just out of kind of nowhere. And a lot of it has to do with there's a lot more people that are home. There's a lot more people that are on the internet and they're bored, so they're searching.
Sure.
Which, it works out. I kind of look at it this way. I've built my YouTube channel up to where it's at right now with the number of videos I have and the content that I wanted to produce, and it's out there and available. And it just so happens that people are having to stay home and they've got something to watch on my channel. You stated an interesting fact.
Can I say it?
You can. I was shocked by this because I hadn't actually run the numbers.
Okay, so Mike and I are super geeks about numbers, whether it's Strava or, you know, this YouTube channel or whatever. Like, we both are kind of nerds on numbers. But he sends me little screenshots of his stats from time to time. And this morning he sent me one that over the last 28 days, he's had 38,000 minutes watched. And so I rounded up to 40. 40,000 minutes equates to 27.7 days. So over the last 28 days, he's just about had someone watching his videos every minute of every day for the last 28 days. And that, my friend, is crazy.
It's so nuts because it's just like these little videos that I create just for fun. And
yeah.
These numbers that I'm seeing now, I know are so minuscule compared to like the big YouTube channels, but these are huge for me. Like I dreamed about having numbers like this 4 months ago.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it's super fun. I'm having a blast with it. And I like to send you little snippets of my stats because I know you appreciate it because you have kind of been kind of like my little number stat guy from almost basically the beginning of this channel. So
yeah.
Probably from the beginning of this channel.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sent you so many numbers. It's so funny.
Yeah. I'm the only person who has context for what's really going on now because I saw it when it was not what it is.
Yeah, 100% true. I mean, it's just so weird. It's kind of surreal. Like I did not expect to see numbers of viewing numbers that I'm seeing. To kind of put it into perspective for you, Chad, I have to have 1,000 subscribers and I have to have 4,000 hours of watch time for 365 days in order to become monetized, which is kind of like the ultimate starting goal of every YouTuber.
Sure.
Well, I've got at this point around 289, 290 subscribers, and I am very, very close to hitting the 4,000 hours watched in 365 days. So the cool news about that is my viewers are actually watching a lot of my content.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of channels out there that have 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, but they don't hit the 4,000 hour in 365 days. So
now that's
I'm super
crazy.
pumped. I'm super pumped about it. So that means that my content is actually sticking with people and they're enjoying it. So
interesting.
Makes me feel good. The last thing that we did on the weekend was we went and looked at landscaping, like around houses and stuff, because that's something that we're starting to do at our house. We built the house a year ago and we didn't have any landscaping in it. But we went and drove around and looked at landscaping and got some ideas, and we actually bought 11 white pine trees, eastern white pine trees. So
those are beautiful.
Yes, and we got a good deal on them at Lowe's, and I can't believe I have to buy 11 trees, and it's not even going to make a dent in my property.
Not even close. Where are you planning on putting those?
Kind of up the front where I have a ditch that's kind of in front of my house.
So on the north side?
Yeah, what it'll do is it'll just basically eventually create a screen between me and the other property.
That other house.
I mean, it'll take years, but
right.
It's a start. You gotta start somewhere.
Yep. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. So
yes, that is true.
20 years from now, you'll be like, man, I'm really glad I did that.
Yeah. For sure, I will. So what are we talking about this week?
I definitely have some Facebook news to share and some Robinhood news to share, and there's a phone that I kind of want to talk about, but I didn't really do enough research to talk intelligently about it, but I still want to mention it because I think it's cool and dumb.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about not talking intelligently, I have done that a lot on this podcast, so
Sick.
You're in good company. I want to talk about the iPhone 12 and whether or not we'll get it this year. So,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that. Welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
And I'm Mike. Well, you got multiple topics, as you have lately a lot, which is saving me a ton. So, why don't you go first and I will go last, as mine has to do with Apple stuff, as it always does. So
Okay.
you kind of mix it up for us.
Yeah. I'll start with Robinhood. So Robinhood is an investing app, and it's pretty cool because it doesn't charge you transactional fees. And so, well, how do they make money? I'm glad you asked, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
They do have an upsell program that has a little bit more data and will offer you, so you can get, at the base level, you can deposit up to $1,000 and get access to that $1,000 immediately to make a purchase. You can buy up to the gold package and you can get access to up to $5,000 immediately. They also allow the gold package people to operate on margin, which as a finance guy, you know what that is. But for our listeners who might not, margin is basically like a loan. So you can borrow on margin up to $5,000, kind of depending on what your total portfolio looks like. And then just know that they can make a call on that margin at any time, and you have to instantly deposit the amount that they're asking you to. So it can be kind of a dangerous game. Like if you're quote unquote super sure that you're buying something low and it's going to go up, then okay, maybe you want to operate on margin because you don't want to put your own money in because you don't have it, ? Or it's tied up somewhere else, but you could have access to it. But obviously if you bought something and it started tanking, then Robinhood can call in your margin and you've got to deposit the money. And so anyway, they charge you $5 a month for that, and then they charge 5% interest on your margin account after your first $1,000. And if you have cash just sitting in your account that isn't invested, they somehow earn an interest rate on that cash that you have sitting there. So that's how they make their money. But they don't make it $9 at a time every time you trade. And so for someone like me who doesn't have thousands and thousands of dollars to be investing, you know, the likelihood of me covering a $9 transaction fee on actual, you know, moves I make in the market are pretty slim. Yeah. And so that's why I use it. But anyway, they have been saying for a while that they were going to start offering the ability to buy fractional shares. And so instead of having to plop out currently $252 for a single share of Apple, if you've got $50, you can buy 250 seconds of a share of Apple.
Oh, wow.
And so currently it just says thousands of shares available for, you know, fractional shares. But I don't actually know which ones they're going to have available for that. But, you know, in your 401k and everything else, like, you're buying fractional shares all the time.
I guess that's true. I never really thought of it that way, but that you are.
Yeah. And so not every platform offers it, but the ones that do kind of get a feather in their cap in my book, because, you know, if you want to take advantage of dollar cost averaging, which is putting a little bit into the market every week or every month versus like, okay, I finally saved up enough to buy 10 shares of something. I'm going to buy it right now because I don't want to try to time the market. I'm just going to buy it now because that's when I finally saved up enough money. and then it drops tomorrow and you feel sick about it. Whereas if you could have been purchasing 0.2 of a share all along, you could have bought it when it was low, bought it when it was high, bought it when it was middle, bought it when it was low again. And so you're taking, that's what dollar cost averaging is. So anyway, they're offering fractional shares as of this morning. And so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really neat. I never really thought about the 401k thing being buying fractional shares, and this is a really cool deal because, like you said, not everybody has just lumps of money laying around that they want to invest, but they might have small amounts that they want to invest weekly or every paycheck that's outside of their normal like retirement type planning that maybe their employer offers.
Exactly.
Or maybe you don't have an employer. Maybe you're self-employed,
sure,
and this is an option to invest.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Super cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Facebook was going to offer up $100 million in grants and loans to small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Robinhood News had a little blurb this morning that they're also offering up $100 million to news organizations. Why, I don't know, but they are. And so Facebook's out here just bailing people out all over the place.
Jeez, I wonder if they're just trying to. I wonder if they're trying to be, good, or they're trying to buy their way back into the good graces of people, or they've got another plan. Like, I don't know. Facebook just feels dirty to me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I really want to think that they've got the right mindset for this, but I just feel like there's something that they're planning in the background, like Mark Zuckerberg in the background, just, twiddling his fingers, just going,
Yeah, it feels like they're just trying to get everyone in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah, I don't trust them. I just don't. It's great that they're helping, but I don't know. I wonder what their end game is. Yeah,
so this says it's to prop up news organizations pummeled by the financial effects of the coronavirus pandemic. And that's kind of the blurb.
And maybe they're seeing a drop in ad revenue. And this is how they help out companies so they put ads in their business. I mean, that's not super malicious. It's just smart business moves, but I don't know. I just, with that currency thing, like we talked about last week, I think we mentioned this on here last week that they had the currency thing. What's it called? What's that currency called? Libra?
Yeah, Libra.
Libra, yeah. Like, we talked about that a long time ago on the podcast, but we had mentioned this whenever you talked about their loans before. Like, with that being one of the things they want to do, I don't know. I don't know. Kind of freaks me out a little bit, old Facebook.
Yeah, so 25 million of it is to help smaller U.S. newsrooms cover the pandemic, and the papers that are receiving the grants say that they're going to add reporters, drop paywalls, or acquire new equipment to work remotely.
Mm-hmm.
The other 75 million is just ads in publications.
Okay.
And so, yeah, ad revenue does help newspapers, but that's not as noble as it sounds off the top.
Right. Yeah. Sign up for Facebook.
Right. Hey, we're saving this paper. Full page ad.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the papers write good articles about Facebook and how they saved them. So
Mm-hmm.
I see where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
So what's this phone that you want to talk about but don't want to talk seriously about?
Okay, so Sony is big into like cameras and stuff, like movie quality cameras, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they initially released the Sony Xperia 1, and it has a 21:9 screen ratio, which apparently is what movie cameras actually record on.
Oh,
And
wow.
so for select movies, you can watch in their original aspect ratio, and it's a really good quality phone and blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out with a new version of it, and instead of calling it the Sony Xperia 2, they're calling it the Sony Xperia 1 2.
One, two, three, four.
And so it's the Arabic numeral 1, like the normal number 1, and then it's Roman numerals for 2.
Oh, God.
And so it would
No,
be like if
they've lost their
Apple,
mind.
yeah, right. It would be like if Apple, instead of coming out with a 12, they came out with the 11 2. And it made me laugh. The phone itself looks super cool, although it does operate on Android. But the phone is kind of neat. Like it's built for 3D sound, which I've never had headphones that were compatible with that, but seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of an immersive thing, but it's got that capability. It's got really nice cameras. Some of them are Sony cameras, some of them are Samsung cameras or lenses or receptors or whatever. I don't know how to talk technically about a camera, but
Doing good. You're doing good.
I'm nailing it, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, the name of it is what made me laugh. But the phone, I don't know, seems kind of neat.
Yeah, that's a crazy name. Like we don't really know what to call this, so let's just leave the name and then add a 2 to the end of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's make them in different. Let's make them in different types of numbers.
yeah. So
Sony.
let's talk about iPhone 12 now.
Yes, the iPhone 12. So I don't have a ton of information on this, but I have been reading articles on several websites about since this coronavirus thing started, the delays in the production chain for Apple, and they were all worried about it. And there are articles that basically came out a month ago that said this is going to delay the iPhone 12, and then a week later they would say no, 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 this isn't going to delay it. It looks like it's on track. But there is a new hiccup in the whole plan, not just the supply chain. So Foxconn is, as you know, is one of their major supply chain manufacturers. They do a lot of the stuff for them, assembling and everything.
Of course, I know that.
Yeah. So they say they're fine.
Okay.
That's the news coming out of their factory. But I have a feeling they're going to say they're fine. And that's
Where
just
are
kind of
they?
like they're over in China.
Okay.
So yeah, now they were supposed to build a factory in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I don't know what the story is on that, and I don't know how far they are on it. But I know the iPhone 12 is not affected by that. But anyways, they say that they're fine, but I almost feel like that is Apple's way of saying, hey, you know what? Even if you do have problems, we don't want this to get leaked out.
Sure.
But now the next thing that has come up is that they might not even be able to distribute it in China this year. It might not be allowed. They might not allow them to actually distribute their phones there. And not only that, they are worried about basically the public not wanting to make large purchases once this thing is over.
In these
being kind
uncertain
of
times, yeah.
right, being shocked of like, holy cow, either I lost my job or I was off work for a while. If you're lucky, like Chad and I are, you got to keep your job, but you had to work in a different way. So maybe your mindset's not on spending money this year. Maybe it's saving money. So,
Well, and I'll say this too. We're in the first 2 weeks of it, and we're still being allowed to work. There could be a point, because while the utility itself is essential, IT and finance aren't as. essential.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
If this thing starts dragging on for 4 or 5 months, which, not saying that it will, but the president did just extend us another 30 days. So through the end of April now, they're saying shelter in place or stay at home or whatever. But if it starts really dragging on and we end up being told, hey, instead of working from home, we just want you to stay home, and you can start using your vacation time. Once you run out of vacation and you start having to take dock, which is what we call you're at home voluntarily, but you're not getting paid. If we start having to take dock time, that's something different, you know?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure you and I both are on the same page on this. We are hoping and praying that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that this year is going to be a really weird year for a lot of people. I think there are going to be people who, were not affected by it at all, and life will just move on. And then there'll be a lot of people, a large group of people that are heavily affected by it that would have been in the market for a new phone, but they might put it off. So there are rumors going around that Apple may delay this phone until 2021.
I mean,
it could change.
Yeah, I could see that making sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, think about it. We are in April.
Yes.
Or almost April. It's the end of March.
Yeah, when it comes out, it'll be April.
Yeah, so we're in April, and September really isn't far away. I mean, that time span between April and September goes by so fast because people are busy with kids getting out of school and summer activities, and that's going to go by quick. And if people are not wanting to spend money in between now and then, that wouldn't surprise me. So if they push it off, it could potentially shift the release of the iPhones to maybe spring. Maybe they'll switch everything over to spring.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It really is. We'll just have to wait and see what they do. But it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't, just because, I mean, they want to maximize the number of items that they've sold, and they kind of have a good test base because they've put out that new iPad and the new MacBook, and if those don't sell over the summer, it could be a good reason to delay the iPhone.
Yeah.
But that's all I had for the iPhone news. Do you got anything else before we do some crazy tech?
I do not.
All right, let's do some crazy tech.
Let's do it. Y'all can't deny it, Nintendo straight fire. You don't want to fuck with Wii. The Switch is tearing up the streets, but the NES is the OG.
That was good. I saw you put that in the notes, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know that. That is Tupac."
Yeah. Little, I don't know, little Nintendo love for you this morning.
That was good. It was good. Creative. Very creative. So do you want to go first?
Sure. Have you heard of Hobie Kayaks?
No.
No. Okay. Well, they're a super expensive brand of kayak. And back in Laura and I have talked about having kayaks the whole time we've been married. So that's been 10 years, and we still don't own kayaks.
So now you're looking at a super expensive brand.
No. I looked way back when, and it's why I've never pulled the trigger. Because once you know that, once you know that a Bentley exists, it makes it harder to buy a Ford. I don't know. But anyway, Hobie makes really nice kayaks, and they're like all different levels, but I mean, even their cheapest level is really expensive, over $1,000.
Wow.
But they make like ocean fishing kayaks and all kinds of stuff like that. But anyway, back in like 2015, they created something called the Mirage Drive. And so instead of paddling the kayak with, a paddle that sits in your hands, they created a foot drive system. And so through the bottom of the kayak, there's these two fins, and on top of the kayak, there's foot pedals for your feet to sit in. Mm-hmm. And they don't pedal around and around. They pedal back and forth. You just push them in and pull them out. Okay. But the way that these fins underneath work is they move back and forth in a scissor type pattern. But the way that they flex, they propel you forward, right? And so it's weird looking at it because it's just going back and forth, which you would think would do nothing. But there's some flex in them that propels you forward up to like 12 miles an hour.
Wow.
In the water. And so, yeah, that's pretty good, right? Yeah. But they designed it for people in the ocean who are fishing, or, you know, people who just don't have that much upper body strength, because even if you're out of shape, like, your legs are going to be stronger than your arms, just in general. But they also have this for stand-up paddle boards, and I don't think they did at the time, but they do now. And so you can get a stand-up paddle board with kind of like scooter handlebars, and it kind of looks like a stair stepper or an elliptical, kind of. But you can be stand-up paddle boarding with this Mirage drive system. And anyway, I think the Mirage drive system is crazy tech. I think the rest of it is just kind of interesting. And it's kind of old, but I figured most people don't know about it.
I had never heard of it. I mean, to me, it sounds pretty interesting. You made a good point that, you know, your body strength, your legs are going to be stronger than your upper body.
Yeah.
For just about anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I could imagine, like, could you imagine going out into the ocean and then, I don't know, say a storm kind of blows in on you that you weren't expecting or whatever, and you've got wind pushing against you offshore.
Yeah.
And you're paddling and you're paddling and you're paddling and you're trying to get home and you just can't, right? Like, this Mirage drive system would get you home. And I think that's pretty cool.
I would definitely feel safer out on in the ocean with that thing. At least a backup.
Yeah, right.
Well, cool. I would say that's definitely crazy tech.
Yeah.
My crazy tech is, and I'm going to mispronounce this, so I'll spell it, Xiaomi. I would call it Xiaomi?
Xiaomi?
I don't know. It's Xiaomi? I don't know. It's a Chinese company. They make a $425 backpack-size folding electric bike.
This thing is small.
Yeah. It's basically a Razor scooter with a seat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe a little bit bigger than a Razor scooter, but it folds up and you can put it in the backpack. So there's two things here that are kind of crazy to me. This is a bike that folds up and fits in a backpack. But it's also an electric bike that's only $425.
Right?
Like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me at all, no matter how I put it through my head.
I will say this. There are no pedals on this thing. So once your battery's dead, you're done.
Yeah, you'd have to, like, do it like one of those, they were like, like a scoot bike, like you get for a kid.
Yeah. That's exactly, that's exactly what it's like.
Like a strider.
Yeah, a strider. I couldn't think of the word.
But the only other thing that I think they really don't mention is the ride quality on this thing has got to be awful.
Oh yeah, those tires are small.
They're small and they don't look pneumatic, so they look like they're just solid rubber, like a Razor scooter would be. So if you went over like a bumpy sidewalk,
you'd feel all of them. Yeah,
all of it. It is cool though. $425 fits in your backpack. It's the only thing you can fit in your backpack, but it fits in your backpack, and you can scoot around town to your heart's content.
You know what? It would get me to work. I would have to charge it once I got there, but it would get me there. So it says it's got a range of 18 miles.
Holy crap. And that's actually a lot of range.
Yeah, but it only goes 11 miles an hour.
It's going to take you an hour and a half to go. But by God, you'll have fun doing it.
It would take me exactly an hour. And you know what? That's about what it takes me when I ride.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be...
In this way, you can just kind of scoot.
Insane. This is insane. It's so small.
It's ridiculous.
And it
looks ridiculous when people are on it.
And it's only $32. Or $32. It's only 32 pounds.
Yeah, 32 pounds, fits in a backpack, and it's only $425. Well, I don't get the price. The price is what's insane to me. Like, that's so cheap.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Things got to break. I mean, it can't last very long.
It can't
you
last.
Get one ride. It's not a rechargeable battery. It just comes with one battery that's 18 miles an hour, 18 miles distance, and that's it.
Right. It says it folds up to the size of an A3 sheet of paper.
Oh my God.
And we have a rough idea of what A3 looks like. That's crazy.
Yeah, maybe it's actually origami, and it's like impossible to like fold once you've unfolded it because you just can't figure out how to fold it back.
Here we are again talking about maps.
Yeah, exactly. It's made by Magellan.
It also has a 220-pound weight limit. So
yeah, I saw that, which that makes sense. I mean, it's a tiny bike.
But here's the thing: if you're a normal-sized male and you're commuting to and from work, and you've got like your laptop and stuff on, like you're maybe getting close to the limit.
You're pushing it.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So anyway,
what?
That's thank you for sharing. Is all I have to say. Yes. This made my day.
You're so welcome. Well, that's all I have for this week. How about you?
Hey, me too. That's all I've got.
Why don't you let our fine listeners know where they can find us?
I will do it. You can find us on the social medias on Facebook and Instagram at LunchTimeTechTalk. LunchTimeTechTalk. You can find us on Twitter at LunchTimeTechT1. You can find us on Patreon. Patreon.com/LunchTimeTechTalk. You can jump over to the internet, pop up a Chrome browser or a Safari browser, and type in www.lunchtimetechtalk.com, and you can browse show notes and listen to old episodes, and I think there's a link for you to click and send us an email. You could totally do that. You can find me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram at MSUMac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where you at?
I am on Twitter at run_bike_Mike, and on pretty much all the other social medias at runbikemike.
And YouTube, baby!
Yeah, YouTube. Go there. That's important.
That's important. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in another week. And
yes.
Shout out to Marcus, because we're here for you, dude.
Yeah, big time. Hope you feel better.
Yep. That's it for us. We'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.